1915. Two Australian men are fighting at Gallipoli. Two of them are brothers. One of these men would never return home. In 1890, 25 years earlier, James, the eldest of the two brothers, is born to Thomas Garrett Dalton and Miss Mary Ellen Dalton. He is the eldest son and one of 6 children. When James was only 5 and Tom was only 2, their mother passed away. Their father later remarried, and he and his second wife, Mary Claire Butler, had a further 2 children. Thomas Garrett Dalton was a managing director of a company, Dalton's Brother in Orange, one of the largest milling companies in Australia. He was later mayor of Orange for 3 years. The Dalton family owned a number of properties in Orange and Sydney. In 1902, James Dalton arrived at Ignatius Riverview as a boarder. He was involved in a range of sporting activities. In 1908, he played rugby in the first 15 side, a team that would have 4 of its players give their lives in the Great War. He also played cricket and rode in the Cadet Corps. He was also talented in Greek and French. He left school in 1908. In 1905, James's brother Tom arrived at Riverview. He represented the school in athletics. He graduated in 1911. After leaving school, James worked as a clerk. Tom worked as a grazier on the family's farm. In 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. This was the spark that set off the Great War, World War I. A few weeks later, Britain declared war on Germany, bringing Australia into the war. On the 22nd of August 1914, a month after the war was declared, Tom enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force, AIF. James enlisted on the March 27th, 1915. Initially, Tom held the rank of a trooper. His service number was 402. He was a member of the C Squadron of the 1st Light Horse Regiment. On October 20, 1914, Tom and the rest of the 1st Light Horse Regiment boarded ship. Amongst the troops on board was Tom Dalton.
Light Horse travelled to Egypt with their own horses. They even brought a kangaroo with them. But before they left Egypt, they could not let the enemy have their horses, so they had no choice but to shoot them. This is one of the saddest days in my grandfather's life.
James Dalton enlisted 8 months later at Riverview. He was a cadet and later a member of the Army Reserve. At first he held the rank of lieutenant. He was also a member of the 7th Light Horse Regiment. 4th Reinforcement. He sailed on the HMH 8 Argyle 9th April 1915.
These are the insignia of the regiment. Morning of April 25th, 1915 at Gallipoli, Turkey, the first Australian troops landed. Among these men was Tom Dalton. This day will become famous in our nation's history, Anzac Day. Here at Gallipoli, Tom and his unit saw heavy fighting. Many Australian and New Zealand soldiers died.
Here are some of the famous images of Australian and New Zealand soldiers at Gallipoli. Here are some pictures of the Australian and New Zealand Anzacs. This is an image taken from the Somme. This is the most terrifying part of the war for Tom Dalton. My great-grandfather was wounded many times in the war. This is where the hospital he was treated, England, Winchester. Throughout the war, Tom was offered a number of promotions to corporal, but he never held these positions long. Instead, he asked to be returned to the rank of a gunner. We don't know why he asked to be demoted. Maybe he wanted to serve by his mates. Here are people fighting in the song. Here are people fighting in the trenches. Here is the first machine gun ever made, so you could kill heaps of people. Not the greatest thing. And here is a very large field hospital. In November 1918, shortly after the peace treaty had been signed, James returned to Gallipoli. That winter was very cold, and he contracted pneumonia. Here are some modern symbols of Gallipoli, the slouch hat and the Anzac Memorial. Here are the Anzacs marching. My great-grandfather did not march because he did not believe in war anymore. Instead, he decided to go back to Orange and continue farming. This is an image of Orange around 1920.
Tom missed his brother terribly. Lieutenant Colonel J.D. Richardson wrote to one of James's sisters. Here is an extract from the letter. He is the most popular officer in the regiment, a most gallant soldier in the field, seemingly devoid of fear, and of a generous and open-hearted disposition, such as rarely met with all the ranks sincerely mourn his loss.
Here are James and Tom Dalton's medals. The war greatly affected Tom. He refused to be involved in Anzac ceremonies and rarely spoke of the war. He never left Australia again. He said to my Nan, "I've seen the world, and trust me, you do not want to see it." He returned home to Orange, worked on a farm, got married, had 3 children, Elizabeth, Rosemary, and Thomas Joseph Dalton. My great-grandfather Tom died on December 19th, 1979, the exact day that his brother James died, just 61 years later.